Welcome back to Live Inside the Booth. You know what it is. I'm your host, Marland Lowe. Got another outstanding show for you today. This is a good one. This is a good one. We got a young man, and he is a basketball connoisseur, a basketball enthusiast. Everything that you can think of, man. He just knows the game. We got Rashad Phillips. Rashad Phillips from Sports Talk 2319. So when you go onto the internet, type in sportstalk2319.com. If you're on YouTube, you can watch him all throughout the day. You can watch various shows on his YouTube channel also at Sports Talk 2319 on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter at RP3Natural. On Twitter at RP3Natural. Look, Rashad has put out some names. He's been controversial, not in a bad way, as far as people saying, how dare you put that guy in front of this guy? He has no desire to make friends when it comes down to making assessments on talent. None at all. So guess what? We got him inside the booth today. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk to him. We're gonna share names. We're gonna have some great conversation. But before we start all that, do me a favor. Look at the bottom of your screen. You see that subscribe button? Hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that subscribe. Throughout the course of our conversation, make sure you hit share, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or whomever. Share with all your friends, your personalities, the people that you follow and who follow you. Let them know what we're doing. This is a great conversation. We got to get his platform out, man, because when he talks and the people who he talks about, everybody on these national shows, whether it's the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, the CBSs, they all follow him. They all watch him and hear what he has to say. So a lot of the things that he does and says, he has to keep it low key because some of these people, you know how it is, they never giving credit where credit is due. But Rashad knows what he's talking about. That's a buck. Keep that a buck. And also at some point in time, hit that thumbs up button for us. Hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like. Let people know what you watch and everything else, and that you're enjoying the program. All right. So right now, as we get ready to go in here, throughout the show also, if you want to hit the comment section, if you got a question for him, you like something that he's saying, you got a question about a player, no problem at all. Hit that comment section, type in a question or whomever. We'll make sure that we'll ask Rashad that question, especially when it comes down to players. But right now, let's bring him inside the booth and let's welcome Rashad. Rashad.
What's going on?
How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, brother.
Listen, man, I am so glad to have you inside the booth with us, man, where we could talk just about life, but mainly about sports, basketball, and players. You know what I mean?
This is a great opportunity, man. I'm so excited, bro.
Yeah. So check this out. On your Twitter, I let everybody know already what your Twitter is, which is at RP3Natural, right? So most of your hashtags is hashtag Yoda, YODA. Speak on that, man. Where'd that come from?
Well, one of my homeboys, man, Julian, back in Michigan. This is a couple years ago. He was like, when I was training all these kids out in Rochester Hills, Michigan, I was training all these kids, and people would always come to me and be like asking me questions about these kids that were coming out of nowhere, like, who is this kid? Who is that kid? And Julian came to me and was like, look, man, you're like Yoda. You're like the Jedi master. Like, you teach all these young Jedis to use their swords. And I was just like, man, that's pretty cool, man. You know, so I just kind of ran with that. And also Coach Lance over at Holly High School, he gave me the same name. It's funny that two of my friends gave me the same name and they didn't know that they did it. So I just kind of ran with it years ago, and it's just fun. And I love Star Wars too. So
win-win, no doubt. Now that is ironic. Like you say, two different guys that don't even really hang out or wasn't around each other, and they both wind up referring you as to Yoda. So
yeah, that's funny.
So tell me this. From yeah. So from a sports perspective and a basketball perspective, you played at the university. You played at Detroit Mercy. All-time leading scorer.
Yeah.
Got buckets.
Yes.
5'12".
5'12". Yeah, 5'12".
So that experience while you were at Detroit, tell us about that experience about Detroit and what took you to the next level, which has brought you to where you are today, before we get into all this discussion with these players, man.
Yeah, for me, just growing up in the Detroit area, I always dreamed of playing for my hometown, and I have to thank my dad. My dad used to always take me to Callahan Hall to watch the University of Detroit Titans play, and it was about 10 to 15 minutes from our home. So you got to imagine, as a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, being able to go to a college game regularly to see college basketball players play. That was motivating for me. So when I got to that stage, the University of Detroit was already just in my veins. So when I got there, it was historical. I had some fantastic coaches. I had great teammates. I played on some great teams, and I was happy that I was able to be a contributor into the success of the university. And from there, obviously, I got a chance to break some records.
Break plenty of records. Break plenty of records. Now that just recently, you went back and you got a chance to spin the ball with Antoine Davis, right? You got a chance to spin the ball with Antoine. Tell me, your short, not just about his game, but your brief experience with him. How was it for the records that you set, and now seeing a young man of his caliber and his status come behind you at the same university? How was that?
I couldn't hear you. We kind of chopped up on that one.
Okay, I say we're coming behind Antoine Davis, coming behind you at the same university that you were at, and he's doing a phenomenal job right now from making a major name for himself in the university. How kind of ironic is that, man, for two young men to be coming out of Detroit, and doing such great things like that?
You know what? Antoine is just a dynamic player. And I told people this all the time. Dynamic players come around, especially at those type of universities, like once every 20 years. So he was a blessing to the university. Thank goodness his dad got the job, but he's just, he has his background is a lot like mine, from the standpoint where he was born to play the game. Like, his father bred him to be that dynamic of a basketball player, the same as my father trained me to be that as well. So we kind of gravitated to each other because we got similar backgrounds. And for me, in the position that I'm in today, I love to see a kid go to my, which is happy to be a part of it, and for them to allow me to have a voice in what he's doing today.
No doubt. Well, let's get into it right now. First off, you caught a lot of heat at first last season when you said Trae Young was such a dynamic player, not just a dynamic player, but he had magnetism. What did you see in Trae? What did you see in Trae? And who do you see as could be a Trae Young in this 2019 NBA draft? Man, I think we having some storms down on this end of town, y'all. So hopefully y'all got to bear with me a little bit as I work through. Rashad, I know I probably went out on you again. I apologize to the listeners and the viewers. Like I say, we having a little footage, storm footage down here. But for Trae Young, what did you see to make him so dynamic? And who do you think in this 2019 class can be the same type of having the dynamic and magnetism that you saw?
Yeah, so to answer your question about Trae, for me personally, Trae was the easiest evaluation that I've ever done, because I was a point guard, so it's easier for me to break down point guard play than any other position, because I know exactly what's going on in their heads when they're playing. So when I heard about Trae Young in high school, I had a couple of people reach out to me when Trae was playing in high school. And they said, you need to look at this kid. And when I watched him in high school, when he signed to go to Oklahoma, it kind of reminded me of when I went to University of Detroit, a kid that chose his hometown school because he believed in his skills that much. So when I watched him in college, I just saw that his teammates gravitated to him. The defense gravitated to him. He was so dynamic. He was so skilled. I just knew in my heart that he would translate to the NBA the same way. And when I look at this draft, I got who has some similar characteristics as Trae, and I believe that.
Okay. So for 2019, Zion, your number one pick?
I won't say that all the way.
Okay.
Because you have to, you know.
It depends on who's where.
I mean, it really depends on the team, you know, and the need. You know, if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I would take Ja Morant. And I said this last year. If I was the Phoenix Suns last year, I said this on record. They should have took Trae Young with the number one pick. And this is no slight to DeAndre Ayton, because I love Ayton's game. But I just believe that the NBA is predicated on dynamic point guards. If you don't have a dynamic point guard, you're eventually going to fizzle out in the NBA, the way the game is played today. Now, 20 years ago, when I was coming out, it was all about getting the big guys, getting the back to the basket bigs. But in today's game, the way that is trending towards dynamic point guards. So if you're in position to draft one, take one.
Are there three dynamic point guards in this year's draft?
No. No.
That means special.
They don't come around every year.
That means special. Yes. Okay, so where would Zion Williamson fit in?
I really would like to see him in Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be fantastic for him. I would like to see him play with Trae because Trae brings out the best in whoever you surround him with. And I just think it'll be great for the city of Atlanta. I think it'll be great for Zion's career because he's a guy that you don't have to run you don't have to run plays for him because he's just so good of an athlete. He has a terrific motor. He gets out in transition. So I think Atlanta will be the perfect destination for him. And I think it'll be a great marketplace for the NBA to be able to have him there.
No doubt. I like that. Would you say that, and I'm not sure if you want to touch this, but I'll ask, would you say, would Duke have more first rounders this year of impact players, or is there a school that you think might have, or a smaller school that might have an impact player like a Murray State and Ja Morant might have another impact player that could be off people's radar right now that only you may know about, that you've been talking about?
That's one I'm gonna keep a secret for now. But I'll let that out the bag in a couple more months. No.
Okay.
My film study's not done yet. I'm still watching tons of film. All another day.
Okay, I get that. I got that. Now, I did notice you said something about Cam Reddish. You like him?
Yes. Yeah, I think he's terrific.
Not only did you say something about his stroke, you talked about his swag on how he runs, his strides. Right? I know I went out again, guys. I'm not sure. Can you hear me? You back now, Rashad? You back with me now?
I hear you. You're going in. Yeah, I hear you. Say it again.
I know it's the first time this happened, but I say not only did you talk about his stroke, you talked about his strides also.
Yeah.
What? Tell us about that. What you looking at?
Well, when you look at a basketball player, you gotta see how they carry themselves when the ball is not in their hands. So when I watch film on players, even with Trae Young, even though he's a point guard, I watched a lot of tape when he didn't have the ball in his hands. And when you watch Cam Reddish without the ball in his hands, he just looks terrific. He just has that $1 million stride. He carries himself like he knows what he's doing, and he just has the ultimate confidence. And that's just something right there that you just can't ignore. You can pop in any tape you want to and watch Cam Reddish without the ball and watch how he comes off the screens, watch how he runs, those type of things that there's no substitute for. And that's why, I'm really high on Cam Reddish.
Okay. So tell me this, how much does analytics play a part in your evaluations?
It's probably last. It's probably the last thing that I look at. I have my 7-point scouting system that I use, that everybody can use a guide. This is my guide to scouting. So my number one is NBA style of play. Number 2 is skill set. How does it translate to the next level? Number 3 is mental temperament. Number 4 is statistics from college or European, wherever they're coming from. Number 5 is projection, my raw thoughts on the person. Number 6 is longevity, how long will they last? And number 7, last but not least, is the eye test. So those are the 7 points that I use to scout players, and not one of those are analytics. So I go through all 7 points of my scouting system for everybody I scout. And then after that, if I need the analytics, because there are some analytics that are that you need, but I don't overdose on analytics. I have a couple guys out there that do them, but it's very, very rare that I tap into my analytics guys, because my 7-point scouting system is usually pretty accurate.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And everything that you said, I was like, I dig it. I see it all. I see exactly from 1 through 7. And like you said, for those that know me, they know I'm not I respect analytics, but I'm not high on it either. I'm a guy about feel. You got to have feel. Yeah, you got feel.
Look, I'm old school, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, because I do respect analytics. I just don't lean on them.
Right.
Because let's think about the 70s and the 80s. If we go off analytics, there wasn't really analytics, but let's go football. I love football. Let's think about Bill Walsh. When they were looking at Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice ran a 4.640. But Coach Walsh, he said that on tape, the eye test, he saw greatness in Jerry West. He didn't lean on analytics or anything. It was what his eyes saw in Jerry Rice to make him draft him with the San Francisco 49ers, and he became the greatest wide receiver that we ever saw. And Jerry Rice didn't go to a high major school, but it was the eye test. And I think it was some of those 7-point scouting system rules that Coach Walsh kind of leaned on when looking at a guy like Jerry Rice. So it's been going on for forever time to lean on those type of scouting points. I know everybody has their different points, but mine are those 7 points, and that's how I grade my players and evaluate my players. And usually, I would say 8 to 9 out of 10 times, it's usually somewhere in the ballpark where it's correct.
I'm with that. Now, number 3 on there was mental temperament.
Yes.
kind of break that down for us a little bit for those who understand about as far as the mental temperament going into the NBA.
Well, you have to look at the kids' background and see exactly where they're at mentally and how they handle pressure, how they handle certain environments. So that's huge in the draft process. There's a kid right now, I won't say his name, that's in the draft this year, who's probably the most talented player in this draft, but a lot of people talk about his temperament. So the temperament can add or it can take away from how people scout you. So you have to also have that mental capability to go through the 82 games, to be able to deal with the locker room situations. And that's young for me. Number one on my board because
Okay. So I still got you. Still with me, right?
I'm with you.
Oh, okay. Now, the last point on this, your 7 points is the difference between or the value in saying somebody's talent versus longevity.
You chop it up.
Okay, sorry about that. So, okay, you got me again now?
I got you now.
The talent part versus longevity.
Yes. That's that's a tricky one because you can have a guy that's extremely talented, but he's injury prone. So what would you rather have? The prospect that's going to give you 10 to 12 years, or the prospect that's only going to give you 4 years in his injury field?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to also look at the history. You have to look at the weight. You have to look at the size. All of that plays into part of the longevity of playing at the next level as well. Absolutely.
I like that. And for a guy that's playing right now, some friends of mine, we used to have when I think it's probably 3 years ago, we used to talk about Kelly Oubre when he was at Kansas, and we said Kelly could possibly probably have a long career because he does so many different things, and he's a utility guy. He can, you know what I mean? He can do a lot of different things. So I'm not sure how you rank Kelly as far as longevity, but he wasn't a guy that's going to be, he wasn't going to have a high usage rate from the beginning, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Kelly's one of my favorite players in the league, and I loved him coming out of Kansas. And I actually spoke with him earlier in the year, and we talked about that. Like I agree with you. I thought that he would have a long NBA career, and so far so good.
Absolutely. So being cautious right here, tell us about your overall assessment on maybe this year's draft in 2019 compared to 2018.
Well, I think last year's draft was historic. I think that some of the players that went in the draft last year will go down as some superstars, all-stars, maybe some future MVPs. I mean, you take Luka Doncic, who people killed me for because of my evaluations of him. He had a pretty good year. Marvin Bagley had a terrific year. I think Lonnie Walker will be phenomenal for San Antonio Spurs. He was hurt all season. I think he's going to be terrific. Mikal Bridges was fantastic with Phoenix this year. So, I mean, you look at these guys. Ayton was great. Kevin Knox shows promise. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is fantastic. He was a rookie point guard in the playoffs playing well. You got Miles Bridges. There was a lot of Jerome Robinson. There was a lot. Alonzo Trier, he didn't even get drafted, and he had a good year. So last year's draft class will be historic. I think this year's class is not as deep, but it still has some good players on the front end. Okay.
Let's take a minute and let's jump to some NBA playoffs right now. NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's talk some matchups right now. How about we gonna start out in the East, out on that side, that neck of the woods, right? This Celtics and Bucks. Come on, man. From the beginning, speak on it. How was your feeling on that from the beginning? What'd you call? Tell us what you think about Giannis, and at the same time, will Kyrie be back next year?
Well, that's a lot to unpack there, but I'm gonna try to make it quick. I actually tweeted back in September. Grads had put out a poll with a picture of the Celtics, and he asked, "What are they going to do?" And I said they probably won't do anything this year. I just thought that Kyrie ever wanted to go to Boston. Mm-hmm. I believe he had in front of the camera, but I don't think he ever wanted to be in Boston. And I don't think Boston really wanted him. I just think that it wasn't a perfect match. It wasn't a good match at all. So I just figured that their season will go downhill, and they're down 3-1 to Milwaukee, and it's not looking good for them. On the other end, the Milwaukee Bucks, they have surprised me. Giannis has he plays the same style as LeBron. He dominates the ball. You surround him with shooters, and his physicality just overmatches anybody in the NBA. So you just got to pick your poison. He's surrounded with shooters. Middleton's great. Bledsoe's great. Lopez is great. Those guys are playing terrific. So I just think Milwaukee has the perfect makeup and surrounded Giannis with the right guy. So I think Milwaukee will advance.
3-1. I'm gonna take that bet. Philly and Toronto. I know, and we're gonna have to talk about your thoughts on Kawhi, man. Philly, Toronto.
Yeah, I picked Toronto to go to the finals in the beginning of the season. So I'm not going to change my pick. I'm going to stick with my pick. I picked Toronto to go to the NBA finals. So it's 2-2. They back in Toronto, and I just think that I think Toronto pulls it out, and I think this goes 7 games.
7. We'll skip. Can you got me? You still got me clear, right?
Yeah.
Is Kawhi one of the top 2 players in the league? Or
yes.
3? What makes him?
I would put him at 3.
Okay.
If you include because you got to have LeBron in there, obviously. But I just think that he plays the game with the efficiency level. He defends better than anybody in the league. He's a better jump shooter, a better ball handler than what people give him. So you have guys that are media superstars, and then you have guys that are just great basketball players. And I think Kawhi gets caught up in the twilight of not being a media superstar. So him not being a media superstar kind of takes away from him being a great basketball player. But when we just look at strictly basketball, Kawhi Leonard is a top 3 player in the NBA, and there's no doubt about that.
Period. Period. Okay.
Period.
We had a good conversation at the gym this morning. Real quick, I have no particular order, but I did have KD, Giannis, Kawhi, and Bron. Those are my top 4 heroes playing right now. But I say top 3 playing, other 4. LeBron's at home resting his body for next year, but that's another story.
Yep. Now, LeBron will be back.
Yes. We going out west. Denver and Portland. That's a mean series right now, man. And if you're on the East Coast, you got to stay up extra late to enjoy that.
Man, it's killing me because I'm here in Florida, so I'm trying to watch the games at night. But they're so good, you don't want to change the channel. But I picked Denver to go to the Western Conference Finals in the beginning of the season, so I'm gonna stick with my pick there. So I just think that Denver has more bodies to throw at. Lillard and McCollum, those guys are fantastic. They're terrific. they're my favorite backcourt in the NBA by far. So I love watching those guys play. But from a team standpoint, I just think Denver has more bodies to throw out there. When they can wear Portland down. So I like Denver. I think Denver goes to the Western Conference Finals. I'm gonna stick with my pick there.
Not mad at you. And Jokic is a whole nother level, man. He's another animal, man. He's almost like a old school Sabonis. No?
He's like a Sabonis. He dishes the ball, that's how he plays.
Yeah. So last but not least on these things, and we tied at 2-2. These Rockets and these Warriors, man, just speak on it. We need to hear it.
Well, man, to me, I just think that the Rockets are playing their usual game. They're firing threes, what have you. But what my issue is, I just think right now, Golden State needs to allow Curry to just roll. And they haven't allowed him to roll. He's doing too much standing in the corner. And KD's terrific. I mean, Kevin Durant's one of the greatest players to ever play. He's one of the greatest scorers to ever play. But they need to get back to Golden State basketball, which is moving the ball, allowing everybody to touch it. So I'm going to pick Golden State in 7.
All right. I can't dispute that either. And I like what you say as far as getting Curry back into the game. He's standing around too much. And even now, I don't see Clay coming off those screens like he usually come off, ready to catch and shoot.
Yeah.
Something, maybe they need to get back to that.
Yeah, they need to get back to that. They just got to get back to moving the ball, everybody moving, getting screened. Because Durant is fantastic in that style of play as well. But we're seeing him play a lot of ISO ball, where it's like Durant's great at coming off screens as well. So you got Durant, Curry, Clay coming off screens and moving the ball. I just think they're unbeatable when they play that way. They are beatable when Durant is just isolating and dropping 40. They're beatable that way.
Yeah. You know who I am, though. You know who he is. There's no question about that.
Yeah, we know who you are. You're fantastic. You're one of the greatest individual players that we'll ever see. But you're beatable if you just play ISO ball. Just what it is.
Systems. Do you study a lot of NBA systems, obviously based upon, or do you think a lot of these coaches in the NBA have systems, or do they still structure their game plan around the type of players that they have?
I think depending on the coach, depending on the level of the coach, or you take a guy like Greg Popovich, he has a system. You're going to play in his system. Mm-hmm. When you got, the younger coaches that are, guys that just got employed, I don't think they can really implement a system because they're new. But you get to the coaches that D'Antoni has a system, Popovich has a system, Dwayne Casey has a system, Clifford has a system here in Orlando. So I think it's 50-50 and depending on who the coach is.
What do you think is missing in the game right now? What do you think is missing in the game? Is there anything missing in the game right now? Is it fine right now, or is it something that can be, what are we missing here in this game right now?
I think we're missing the intermediate part of the game. I think everything's all or nothing. I think we're seeing a lot of all or nothing basketball. It's either a three-pointer or a layup. And I think we're not getting enough intermediate shots because the three-pointer has basically turned into a super shot. So everybody wants to hit the super shot. And this is one reason why I believe Kawhi Leonard is so efficient, because he's one of the few guys that still uses the mid-range jump shot, and it's effective if you really study it. So I'm not an analytic guy, but if you go into the analytic, I'm sure one of those guys can tell you that the mid-range shot is not being utilized enough in the NBA.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. And I say at the same time, I saw Jalen Rose say the other day, he said KD had shot more mid-range shots himself than the whole Rockets team combined when they were up 2-0. Just something to think about.
Yeah.
But look.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
No, Rashad, listen, man. We're going to have to do this again, obviously, quite a few more times as we continue to move on. We got to continue to build relationships and get you out here so that the people in the South, on the West Coast, and everywhere else can have a better feel and know who you are, because they need to know who you are. Yeah. We need to get your name out there. It's Rashad Phillips, guy, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, it's sportstalk2319.com. It's Sports Talk 2319 on YouTube. RP Natural on Twitter. And when you start talking about a guy that has a great feel for the game and has an understanding, listen, how many times have y'all heard somebody tell you about 7 points that they look for in a basketball player? Ain't talking about, don't give me your stats. Let me sit back and watch, because stats don't always tell the whole truth. This man is telling you on how he predicts guys and how he makes a very good assessment on who can play where. Some NBA team needs to be picking you up if you decide, or at least give you the opportunity to say no.
I appreciate that.
No, have you ever thought about trying to move into a front office position if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, if I was given the opportunity, I would seriously consider that. I just haven't been approached by anybody in that regard.
Well, I tell you what, man, those who know recognize real, game recognize game, as we always say. And we know that you got game. Absolutely. When it comes down to that right there. We know that you got game when it comes down to that right there. So look,
appreciate you having me on your show, bro. It means a lot to me.
No, it means a lot to me. Like I said, I have no problem saying, listen, today was one of the, we had a little static today. We had a little static. But
we'll do it again.
We're gonna get it back in. We're gonna get it right. Until next time, I definitely be in contact with you. We're gonna touch base. I'm gonna get this thing out. We're gonna get it pumping and talking, and we're gonna collectively get us on and maybe some more friends on, and we're gonna talk about a lot of things that go on in the basketball world.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Let's do it, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, Rashad, you take it easy. Have a good one.
Yeah. Talk soon.
Yep. Listen, that was Rashad Phillips. You heard about his 7 points, right? 7-point NBA plan. I apologize for the connection today. It's really storming down here in the South. It's really tough right now. So kind of give me a little bit, we don't have a lot of wires underground to kind of keep everybody plugged in right now, but we're going to work on that and get that back right. First time this happened. And it's tough because it happened to somebody that I've been really waiting to get inside the booth. Okay. But we're gonna stay plugged in. Okay. Listen, hopefully for what you did see, give us a thumbs up right there. Make sure that you share this on Twitter or Facebook with whomever, and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. When you get an opportunity, go to Sports Talk 2319 on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Sports Talk 2319 on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. SportsTalk2319.com. That's Rashad Phillips' station. SportsTalk2319.com. And then on Twitter, it's at RP3Natural. At RP3Natural on Twitter. Hit that follow button and stay plugged into him, because he drops some really good jewels to help you understand on perspective throughout the game. All right. Look, once again, thank you for your time. I think it's got to be something from out for the universe, because right now weather's clearing up a little bit. Seems like things are almost about full steam ahead again. But I'm Marlon Lowe. Follow us at InsideBooth on Twitter. At InsideBooth on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button. Inside the Booth on YouTube. Inside the Booth on YouTube. And we're gonna keep bringing it home. We're gonna keep bringing you some of the best. We're gonna get some guys on here where you ain't gonna have no choice but to hit that comment button, because you're gonna want to interact. Until next time, we'll be seeing you soon. Enjoy your evening. I'm Marlon Lowe for Rashad Phillips. Enjoy your day.